Alrighty, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Serving Nerve, where we talk about whatever we want, and today I am kind of sick. In fact, I've been sick all week and it sucks. But anyways, moving on, we're going to be going through also the most sickening subset of the Fat Acceptance Cringe Compilation series that I can possibly think of. Because why not? You know, let's make ourselves more ill than we could be already. And yeah, so we're going to be going through belly stuffing today and all the weird fetish-oriented content that I so seldom enjoy, in fact, full-heartedly find myself distasteful of. Personally, I do not like the whole body stuffing, overfeeding kink or fetish that it is, and that I find commonly online, especially when going through all these compilations. But today we're going to be going through that, and I'm going to kind of explain, from what I've gathered, what the perception is that, you know, kind of brings up people who enjoy this kink or this fetish. So yeah, let's just get into that. Alrighty, my people, I just want to interject that I do have a Patreon, and I do want to point out that if you want to support the channel, there is exclusive content on there, and I upload once a week. So yeah, if you want to check it out and support the channel, cool. If not, then let's get on with the video. So this is like, you know, a weight gain fetish, stuffing fetish. All of the tags are going to be huge belly, a huge girl belly, belly stuffing, belly girl, fat belly, belly, you know, weight gain. That is like what is tagged on TikTok with this content. And the comments section, you know, going through this one, I know it doesn't show very well, but it's, you know, you are literally perfection, pretty, beautiful, heart signs, smiley faces, love that gain, things like that. So obviously people are into this kind of content, especially when looking at these tags. And personally, I find it very odd. I've gone through a little bit of what people say in forums pertaining to this fetish. Some people say it's a little bit like a BDSM kink, where you get to a point where with some of the content you'll find there's this immobility, this helplessness that comes with it, this like being overly full, can't move, being stuffed, you know, filling people up kind of vibe. That is what I've seen with most of the like content and why people like it. Personally, I don't get it, but hey, to each their own. But I also would say to each their own more so if this didn't result in usually severe, like, risk of, you know, potential metabolic disease, the symptoms of obesity, potential early death. When it comes to this kind of thing, there's also things like death feederism, where it's literally until they die, like feeding them so much to a point where they die, which is a much more extreme subset, but that is also a concern with some of this fetish. All of this does come with some risks. Excessive overeating will give you the symptoms of overeating, the symptoms of weight gain, and potential issues for your health, which is why I really don't like it. I really don't like the fetish vibe and the fetish content that comes with this kind of thing, because it is not just like, oh, people are, you know, doing things kind of safely with certain other fetishes and stuff like that, certain other kinks, and they're doing it amongst consenting adults. Sure, these are consenting adults, but this is not really a safe trend in my opinion, which is one of the reasons why I really don't like this kind of content and why this fetish I think is really screwed up.
So good. So good.
So as you can see, there's like a ton of this content of people eating, saying, oh, so good. They say certain words. I think it's obviously to kind of like feed that kind of like part of your brain. Personally, I don't know if this is like what everybody thinks, but when I think of this, it's like the equivalence of somebody in the bedroom saying, oh, it's so good pertaining to sex. Like, you know, saying the same things you would say during sex, but with food. So it insinuates that kind of like sexual element to the food instead. But that's just my opinion. I don't actually know if that's what people are thinking when they see this, but that's automatically what I think. It's like they always say the words that come with like something actually like sexual pertaining to the food. It's not like they say, oh yeah, this food's really good. They always say it like sexually or something. It's really weird. I'm sorry, I know I'm gonna say it's weird throughout the whole video, but I really don't like this kind of content. Obviously, it's got somebody grabbing their belly too, which is almost like the idea of like touching yourself. Obviously, like with overfeeding, the belly is like the zone, the fetish zone, which is why I also find it incredibly odd.
So good. So yummy.
The creepy thing about this is there are children that I can hear in the background. I'm pretty sure they're children, which is really weird. I don't understand being able to be a parent and do this. It's super, like, off-putting in my opinion. But that's just, again, my opinion. I just personally think this whole thing's kind of, like, weird and a little bit demented. And I don't know, like, you know, how popular this really is. Video's got a couple hundred saves, like 600 likes. I can't tell where the view count is on here, but, you know, given the comments and whatnot, views seem pretty high for this kind of thing. I think we all can tell that the liquid being poured on the tummy could be for another reason. This is just weird. It's obviously very hypersexual. You know, it's just weird, dudes. I'm sorry, like, this is not my game. This is not my game, man. This is like my worst nightmare. Seeing this actually makes me want to throw up. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just think it's really weird, especially with, like, watching kinky stuff online. I really don't like watching anything sexual online, so, you know. But this particularly is quite odd because, again, it does insinuate some of the concepts of early death, which I find particularly weird, and I don't know how many people are aware of that, or if they just don't care, or if they're into that, but it's just really weird. And again, I'm saying weird a lot, but it is weird. And the comments again for here are, love your cat. Well, on your way to becoming queen size, some, like, you know, emoticons. Beautiful emoticons, more emoticons, tons of emoticons, same emoticons, tons of, like, little heart emoticons, heart face emoticons. Well, on your way to becoming queen-sized again. Fill that belly button up. And then somebody says, bro, what am I seeing? Which is probably one of the only sane people that has found themselves in this chat. And again, like, the content, you know, couple hundred saves, 500 plus likes. So the video says, I want a Santa Claus round, swollen belly for Christmas. Am I making good progress?
No, because this right here, this, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Comments again say, dang, how do I get a girl who love that and is close? I just love this positivity. I don't think that people are seeing it as positivity. This is like fetish content. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but this is not body positivity. This is like fetish content, people jerking off to you vibes. People jerk off to this, okay? People are not doing this for beauty and positivity. People are doing this because they want to jerk off to the content that you are putting out online, and so many of the people posting these videos know that. I don't know how many people would be so unassuming as to view this content and think otherwise, given what is insinuated in the content. But apparently, some people would think it's just positivity, which I'm very doubtful of. And then somebody else comments, you are simply breathtakingly, fantastically, indescribably beautiful goddess. So again, like, people do like this content. It's odd in my opinion. I think it's weird. This one's got over 4,000 likes, and also over 1,000 saves. And yeah, I don't know, man. And then we get into the AI elements of this. Which is funny, but it's weird. And I think AI would be safer than a real human doing, like, feederism and inflation and stuff. But this is when it gets to inflation fetish territory. So the whole inflation fetish thing, like, if you've been on DeviantArt in, like, the 2000s or whatever, when I first started off, inflation fetish drawings were really popular. I think they probably still are. But basically, like, I don't know, again, it's like the helplessness thing, inflation. This is obviously like overfeeding content again, but now they're just using AI to generate these images to jerk off to, which I guess is better on an ethical basis, but still weird and probably not good by any stretch of the imagination, and plays into, like, again, inflation fetishes, you know, feederism probably, and then also, like, the typical big belly kinks or whatever. It's weird. And obviously, like, the pleasure element of this for whoever is, in the video doing these things, whether it's a real person or AI, feeds into that nature of like, oh, they like it, like they're getting off to this too, like that kind of thing, I think. So I think it's just weird, bros. It's just weird. And, I've probably said weird a billion times in this video thus far, but I think it's incredibly odd. So again, like more AI generated images of huge bellies, mass inflation, people getting really fat really quick, wearing leather, wearing kind of promiscuous or, appealing clothing, sexually appealing clothing. A lot of the people in these videos are women. There's very few that I've seen with any men, mainly because I think it's more men that are into this whole like feederism thing, or watching a girl like big bellied, I guess. I don't know. It's mostly women through all this. So I'm just saying.
More and get myself to like 220 and stuff like that. So I did. I was 223 at like the end of December. I think it was like the 23rd or the 25th. I think it was the 25th because I wanted you guys to get like a little Christmas gift. Oh my, Deanna's fat. Let me just say this. I never really wanted to talk about this because I know people in this fetish are almost like kind of hostile when feeties lose weight. So I was very like silent. This was something that I only really told my feeder, but I never wanted to get over 200, let alone fucking 223 without a feeder. So I was like almost a little distressed by how fat I was getting. So after I did that last like Christmas weigh-in, I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and lose like as much weight as possible before like physically meeting up with my feeder, so he doesn't feel like he's already feeding like a fat girl, if you know what I'm saying. So I was being a little crazy and I decided to eat tuna pretty much all day, every day. So that is how I lost like a decent amount of weight. I think I was 205.
Okay, so she's out of breath at the beginning. Obviously she's pretty overweight, obese probably. And this is a really weird element because both in the body positivity, like fat acceptance community, and in like this feeder community as stated by this girl, and I've heard a little bit of this before, but I did kind of want to elaborate on this. The hostility that does come and the, scorning that does come when there's weight loss involved for any of these individuals is quite prominent. It's almost like you're doing something wrong, or you're defying, what this like group's all about, or, you're playing the role of the enemy if you do lose some weight, whether it's for your health or to kind of like play into that role or whatever. I think it's incredibly unhealthy to be like obviously gaining so much weight so quickly, and also just gaining that weight in general. But this is the kind of content that I absolutely detest. It's being pushed on TikTok right now. I've seen it on the internet for like years. It plays into like the whole inflation fetish, the whole like, it's a little bit BDSM-esque with, the not being able to move element of it, which is what some people like when it comes to this kink. It plays obviously into like sexual pleasures and whatnot of individuals who are into this kind of content, and I find it incredibly like creepy and very unhealthy to be viewed by everybody, because again, like the people in these videos, outside of the AI, which is another weird issue in itself in my opinion, but whatever, AI, like, as long as it's not AI-generated images of children, it's legal, and nobody's actually getting heart disease with an AI-generated image. But when it comes to this kind of content of real people overfeeding themselves to a point of obesity, morbid obesity, to death, putting themselves at risk for heart disease, diabetes, liver issues, blood pressure issues, blood sugar issues, maybe potential cancers. Is it worth playing into that fetish, getting a feeder, getting a sugar daddy? Is it worth it to you? Because I personally would find your entire life is not worth playing into a fetish. It isn't worth playing into a fetish that particularly can kill you. It's not like this is some healthy, like, little BDSM thing or something. It's consenting adults and there's no, like, real risk here or whatever. It's actually a potential risk for your health long term. And this is for a short-term potential excursion with somebody. Even if it's a long-term excursion, is it worth shortening your life over? And that's where I get really bothered by this kind of content. I think it's really unhealthy. I think it's incredibly unhealthy for the people that are doing this kind of content, whether they're doing it consensually or not. I think it's bad for people to view this and actually, get into this kind of content, especially since there are so many, young teens and stuff, so many children on the internet. I'm not trying to say that it's, like, super doable to, like, monitor this kind of content and keep kids off of this kind of content, but this is the kind of content that's just on TikTok. If you went on to other websites, I'm sure you could find much more and much worse. But just pertaining to this, there are young individuals going through puberty, looking at this content and getting sexual gratification from the content, and that's going to stick with them for the rest of their lives. That, in my opinion, is why I also don't believe in, kids viewing adult materials of any kind, whether they're hitting puberty or they're trying to meet their needs or whatever, because it screws up your mind for life. I think a lot of you guys know that it screws up your mind for life. I know a ton of people, and I myself have had mental scars, particularly. I know I'm being a little bit dramatic when I say that, but obviously had the effects of watching some of this content online, running into this content online, and having it screw up people's perceptions of what healthy sexual gratification should look like, and what a healthy form of, exploration in that regard is, without it killing people, or putting people at risk of early death, which is why I'm particularly against this kind of content. So yeah. Anyways, that's the video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm crazy? Because honestly, I think this is pretty crazy. But yeah, that's the video. So tell me what you think, my people, and I will see you all next time. I'd say it's been lovely, but it's been suboptimal at best looking through this content. Not gonna lie. But yeah, that's it. So I'll see you all next time, my people. Slater.